Hey everyone, this is Dr. Locke. I'm going to give you some help in this video on completing this ExPrep assignment related to text and date functions in Excel. So go ahead and follow the link to this assignment from your Canvas course, and once you have that open, we can work through it together. So if you look at the overview page, the overview tab in the workbook, you'll see there are a number of Excel functions related to manipulating text. And so here are a sample of those functions. We could pull out the leftmost characters from a text string, the rightmost characters, find some in the middle, and we can manipulate the text in different ways using these functions. So there are some links down at the bottom here to get help on those individual functions from the Microsoft site if you find that you need more help or need more information about any of those that you see listed here. So we're going to follow these instructions in the Instructions tab in this assignment and then use these 3 activity sheets to complete our work. So we're going to go to Activity 1 first. So let's look at that page. We have first and last name for some contacts and some companies. We have company, we have the company address, city, and then this is a combination of state and zip, and the country region. And we're going to, all of those are fields that have text in them. That means it's letters or a combination of letters and numbers and symbols. So let's see what our first instruction is. We're going to combine the first and last name in column C using the concat function. Make sure to include a space between the first and last name. So here's column C in that first activity sheet. We want to combine the first and last name, and we're going to use concatenate, and we're going to want to make sure to include a space between the names. So if you just type equals, then you can start typing your function name, and notice concat is the first one in the list. So I'll use that one. And then if you look at the arguments for this function, my first one is the first text string I want to put, so concatenate means put together. So we're going to select the first name. That's the first text string that I want to include here. And then I also want to include the last name, so I can click on that one as well. However, if I just do those two, look at what happens. I have the first and last name for sure, but I don't have the space in between them. So in addition to concatenating the first and last name, I need a space to be between them. So I'm going to go into that function. So in the formula window, I just clicked in there to edit this function, edit my formula. I'm going to add another comma, and between the 2 commas, I'll put a space in quotes. All right, so that's going to concatenate the first name, a space, and then the last name. And there we go. And then I can use the fill handle, double click that in the bottom right corner to fill the formula down the column. And I'll just do a quick check. And that is when as far as I have data. All right, let's take a look at the second thing. Use the proper function in column E to only capitalize the first letter of each word using the company column. So we're going to take that company column in column D, and here we're going to use that same company name, but we want to just display it so that the first letter of each word is capitalized, but nothing else. So we can do that by using the proper function. So if I start typing it, the definition of the function is over here on the right. It converts a text string to proper case. The first letter in each word to uppercase and all other letters to lowercase. So I'm going to use proper on this company name. And there we go. That one's pretty straightforward. So I'll fill that formula in down the column. All right, the third instruction, use the left function in column I, state, to pull the state abbreviation from the state zip column, column H. All right, so we've got state zip in column H, and we want to pull the state off of that. Since the state letters are on the left of that text string, we can use the left function to do that. All right, so notice what the definition of the left function. It returns the specified number of characters from the start of a text string. So from the start of these text strings, I want the first 2 characters. So I will use left. I want to use it on this text string that's in column H, and then I need to say how many characters I want to pull from the beginning of that text string. I want 2 of them, and there I have it, the state. So that's that one. And in the zip column, I'm going to do a similar thing, but I want the zip code, which is the right 5 characters from that string. So number 5 says use the right function. I'm sorry, in number 4 it actually says use the mid function to pull the 5-digit zip code. We will wait and use the right function in number 5. So for number 4, use the mid function to pull the 5-digit zip code. So we'll use that one here. We could use the right function as well. Let's stick with the instructions so we get all the points. So we're going to use it on this text string. And in the mid function, we need to say where to start, which position in that string we need to start in. So for that New Jersey, the N and J are in positions 1 and 2. The first zip code number is in position 3. So I want to start in position 3, and then I want to pull the next, I want to pull 5 characters from that string. All right, and there I go. There's my zip code. So notice that formula says take the string in H2, start in the 3rd position, which in this New Jersey one would be the 1, and then give me 5 characters. So the 1, the 8, the 3, the 2, and the 2 would be the 5 characters for New Jersey, and that gives me the zip code. And then I can just copy that formula down the column. The last one is where we are going to use the right function. All right, this says use the right function to pull the region out of the country region column. Okay, so country region, we've got the region, and all of the regions here have just 4 characters. So as long as we're pulling the same number of characters from the left or the right of a text string, we can use those left or right functions. So I'm going to use the right on this text string in column K, and I want the rightmost 4 characters. All right, and that gives me the region. All right, and that's it for activity 1. Let's move on to activity 2. Now we're going to move on to this spreadsheet. So notice we have some shipping codes, shipping dates, product names, and some other information, departure city, arrival city, and today. So we're going to fill in these blank columns according to the instructions. So number 1, use the mid function in column B to find the code ID using the shipping code in column A. The code ID is the last 7 digits in the shipping code. All right, so we're going to pull off the code ID, and it said it's the last 7 digits. So we're going to use the mid function here. On this text string, we want to start in position number 5. You can see there's 3 letters, then a dash, and then a number, which is that code ID. So we want to start in position 5. And then from there, we're going to pull 7 characters. So my 7 will be the number of characters. Okay, and there's my code. That's the first step. Number 2, some of the shipping dates are being viewed as text instead of a value. use the value function in column D to convert all the shipping dates to values. All right, so we'll do that here. We can see that these look like dates, but these just look like numeric values. So let's use the value function. Okay, and notice that value converts a text string that represents a number to a number. All right, and there we have it. Now they all look like dates as desired. Number 3, use the text function in column E to find the day of the week where the product will be shipped. The day of the week format should spell out the day. And Excel's text format will look something like this for years, 4 Ys, 4 Ms for months, and 4 Ds for days. Adding or removing a letter can shorten or lengthen the year or month or day that's printed out. So let's use this text function. So in column D, we have a shipping date, and in column E, we want to be able to show the day of the week that corresponds to that shipping date. So we're going to use the text function to do this. So I'm going to type that in, and notice the first argument is which value, so the column D value, and then I need to give that format code. So if I want the day of the week, I need to use the 4 Ds, and I need to put it in quotes. And there I have it, the word Friday. That means that this date is a Friday. And I can copy that down to get the day of the week for all of those days. All right, the next step, enter the day portion of the shipping date from column D using the day function. So in activity 2, right here, I'm going to use the day function. Oops. And I want to find the day of the shipping date. Right, and it is day 24. And I'll copy that down. The next step, again, we're going to use the text function and show the month of the year. And we can use the months format, which is Ms, to get that month of the year printed out. So now in column G, we'll use the text function on that shipping date, but this time we want a word representing the month, so I'll use a string of 4 M's to give me that, January. So notice that for the day of the week, we used the text function with a string of D's, and then for month, we used the text function with a string of M's to get the month. All right, the next instruction involves using the year function. Enter the year portion of the shipping date using the year function. So in column H, we will use that year function, and we just need to find the year of that shipping date, and it is 2020. And we've completed all of those columns. The last thing we need to do for activity 2 is to enter today's date in all cells in column I, and we can use the today function for that. So if you scroll over to, actually this is column L where we're supposed to do that. This should say column L. Activity 2 right here is where we're supposed to use the today function. So if we just type today, this function actually needs no arguments. We just have open and close parentheses, and it gives you today's date. And fill that function down the column as well. Those will all be the same because it's today, whatever the date is, the day that you're doing this. So if you are completing this assignment on a day different from the day I'm doing it, you'll have a different value here, but you'll enter that function in precisely the same way. Now let's move on to activity 3. Okay, in activity 3, we've got a few more text functions to use, and these will be a little more complicated. We'll be combining some functions together. So in number 1, we're going to use the trim and upper function in column E to remove all the extra spaces and capitalize Amazon in column D. So let's take a look at that. All right, so here's our brand. We want to apply these functions in column E to the text that we see in column D. So as you can see here, this is the word Amazon, but notice if I click in that formula window, I can use my arrows to see that there is some extra spaces there in front of Amazon. So that differs from cell to cell. And I want to use the trim function to remove the extra space. And then I also want to, so if I just use that function, it just takes away that extra space from the front of the word. But I also want to use the upper function to convert that all to uppercase. So once I have trimmed away the extra white space, I'm going to use the upper function. So I want the trim of the white space to happen first, and then I'm going to take that word, the trimmed word, and put it into the upper function. So my upper function will be outside, and I'm going to nest the trim function inside of that. So the innermost function will be applied first. So the trim will happen, and then this word will be converted to all uppercase. And there we have it. And we'll apply that all the way down. Moving on to the next step. In the next step, we want to use a combination of the right and len, which represents length functions, to pull the location from the location code. So let's take a look at this. Here is the location code. So notice that all of these start with a 5-letter string followed by a city name. But if you notice, the city name length varies in every text string. So we do want to pull a string from the right of every word, but the number of characters that we need changes each time. So in this first one, the Bronx, we need the 5 characters on the right, but in the next one, Watertown, we need, looks like that is 9 characters on the right of that text string. So we can use the length function to figure out how many characters we actually need. So we're going to pull characters from the right. So I'll start out using that one, and it's from this string. But then I need to use the length function to figure out how many characters I actually want. So I'm going to find the length of this same string. It's an F2. But then I don't want it to give me all of the characters. I found the length of that whole string, which right now is 10 characters. I don't need all 10. I just need the ones that have the word Bronx. So I want to skip the first 5. And in every one of these, it starts with 5 characters that we don't need. So I'm going to take the length of that string and subtract 5 from it, and then it will just give me the remaining 5. All right, and there I have Bronx. Okay, so let's see what would happen if I did not subtract the 5. I would get all the characters in that word. It's saying, give me the characters on the right, but as many as there are characters in the word. Well, I don't want all of them. I want just the ones on the right after skipping the first 5. And so that's what I have there. And then that works to fill down the column. Now let's move on to the last instruction. For this one, we're going to use the text join function to populate that final column. And we want to end up with something like this. This is a combination of the product key, the ID, and the location. So let's take a look at this. We want to use the product key from column A, the ID from column B, and then the location that we just obtained in column G. Now we're going to use the text join function. So this is concatenation just like we did before, but the difference between that and text join is TextJoin enables you to specify a delimiter, a character that you want to use between each pair of text strings. And so that means we're going to use the same delimiter repeatedly. And we're going to use a hyphen. So put that in quotes. First we'll specify the delimiter. We can ignore empty cells. And then we will specify the first text string, which is product key, the second one, which is ID, and then the third, which is location. And we could add more text strings if we wanted. In between the first two, we'll get this hyphen, and then between the next two, we'll also get the hyphen. And there we go. There is our code for this column. And we're given an example in the instructions to make sure that we're on the right track. And it looks like we are. All right, that completes this text date functions assignment. So you can submit this to ExPrep, and if you run into any trouble, be sure to touch base with your instructor.